I'm Joe Abercrombie. Worldbuilders are having their big end-of-year fundraiser right now. And to help spread the word, I'm sharing a tiny exclusive glimpse of my forthcoming book, The Trouble with Peace, which isn't out yet for 9 months, September 2020. It's the second book in my Age of Madness trilogy, and you can buy the first, A Little Hatred, from all good bookshops and even some of the bad ones right now. Downside frowned towards the burned out shells of shacks and houses. A couple of chimney stacks still standing, a couple of burned beams poking at the pink morning sky. He cleared his throat, worked the results around his mouth like he was tasting ale, then spat them out. He loved a good spit, did Downside. Might have been his favourite pastime, after killing folk. Just like the village I came from, this, he said. Aye, said Clover, well, villages all look much the same when they're burned. You say that like you've seen a few. There was a time, back in the wars, Clover thought about it and gave a sorry grunt. Before you lot were born, I dare say, when burned villages were a more common sight in the north than unburned ones. I'd hope those days are behind us, but hoping for a thing often seems the best way of bringing on the opposite. There was another gurgling wretch behind, and Clover turned to look. How can you have any puke left? It's just... Flick straightened up, wiping his mouth. A sort of snot coming out now. And he peeked at the display from the corner of his eye, as if looking sidelong might make it prettier. You could tell it had been people once. A hand here, a face there, but mostly just bits of meat, nailed up high or dangling in the burned trees at the centre of the village where the rain had washed the ash into a black slurry. There was something coiled snake-like around and around a trunk which Clover had an unpleasant sense might be someone's guts. A scene from a nightmare, and no mistake. Fucking flatheads, muttered Flick. Then he hunched over and coughed up another string of drool. Chief, by the dead, shouted Clover, near jumping in the air with fright. Scholler had slipped from the bushes, silent as regrets, and was squatting not a step to his side. One eye big and white in her ash-smeared face, and the other just a gleam behind her tangled hair. Creep up on them, girl, not on me. I near shot myself. He was worried he might have. Just a streak. Sorry. She didn't look sorry at all. She never looked much of anything. Deadpan as an actual pan, this girl. I should hang a bell on you, muttered Clover, bending over and trying to calm his racing heart. What is it? The flatheads left tracks. Took some sheep with them. Wool tufted on the trees, tracks all over. Couldn't have left bigger ones if they'd driven a wagon. I could track 'em easy. Want me to track 'em? I'll track 'em, shall I? Maybe she spent so much time on her own, just trees for company, that she'd poor judgment now on quantity of words. It was either too few in little stabs or too many in a flurry. Want to follow, Chief? Clover still didn't much like being called Chief. Sadly, the tallest flower is off the first clipped, and no one he'd called Chief down the years had lived to enjoy a pleasurable retirement. No, I don't much want to follow, as it happens. He held a hand out to the nailed-up offal. Adding my own innards to such a display in no way appeals. There was a pause. Shall we follow, though? Asked Scholler. Clover puffed out his cheeks. They'd been puffed out ever since Stour gave him these scrapings from the pot and told him to hunt Shanker. But when your chief gives you a task, you get to it, don't you? Even if it's far from the task you'd have picked. Aye, he grunted. We shall. And there you go. If you enjoyed that, please consider donating to Worldbuilders. Every $10 you donate gets you the chance to win fabulous prizes, while also making the world a better place. Thanks a lot.